Hey, before we get into today's episode, we want to give you guys some programming notes. So as you guys know, it is Tuesday, and I'm here with Chief, and we've done Tuesday episodes about like history and conspiracy stuff pretty much since like the late half of 2019.
Yeah,
I think it was like fall of 2019. We did the Atlantis one.
We did that, Denver Airport. Like we did a bunch. Tinfoil Tuesday.
We did a bunch.
Yeah.
Tinfoil Tuesday had expanded from there, and so many people really enjoy it. And I know we like doing them.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, with having said that, a little bit of a programming change here. Dog walk is going to move down to 3 days a week. So Tuesdays will not be on your regular scheduled week for dog walk. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's not like Chiefs going away entirely. Thursdays are going to be a mix of like kind of the interviews I've been doing, as well as kind
of like the ones today.
Kind of like the ones today, and kind of like the ones that we've always done on Tuesdays. And we're just going to kind of keep Tuesdays as like an emergency situation. Like if something crazy happens and it's like, yo, we got to cover this, we're going to pop on a bonus episode. If there's really like election stuff to hit this year,
It's going to be a wild year.
We're going to do that too. So obviously want to say, like, I know some people are going to be really upset by this, and we apologize, but just kind of the way things are going from a standpoint of like a lot of things, this was kind of the right move to make.
Yeah, I mean, we're down. Our guy Lance is he's overloaded.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure he doesn't get burned out. So we're trying to do things strategically, but it's still going to be the content will still be there. We'll figure it out.
It will. It just, like I said, like we're down to a one-man band with producer wise pretty much now, and so we're just trying to lighten his load, and sometimes less is more. Like obviously, like the shit Jerry's doing is great, and he's one night a week, so try to kind of beef up what we have. And like we said, it's not completely going anywhere totally. It's just probably more interviews and different days. That's all. Yeah, just picking our spots. So like I said, and the people who are the diehard Tuesday people, like I said, there's no great words I could say to be like, hey, sorry, but it just kind of is what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah. That's all we could really say. So appreciate the fuck out of you guys though, like I always say. Tuesday, like all your submissions and all your ideas are it's been great.
So, and even like the follow-up stuff, like people will send me stuff like, hey, like years later, like there was a banana cocaine bust in England out of Quito, like we just talked about that with that Ecuador thing, like that just happened, then like 3 days later it happened. So everybody, the audience has been great. It's we gotta sort things out here, and
we're just like the video stuff, like obviously we had to pivot a lot with going with the move in the office, and all of our stuff is out of office now, so it's like these shoots take all day, and it takes a lot. Like the Dells, we were there for the weekend, and the date night took like it was like 8 hours. Same with the DraftKings night. The Lambeau trip was a full day, and a lot of that shit takes our guy Lance a lot of time to do. Not in a bad way, but it's just
labor intensive.
Exactly. So, kind of leaning more into video, and so that's the situation.
Yeah.
So with that said, we could get into today's show. Before we do, though, we want to talk about the great Game Time app.
We just used it.
And it was my favorite Game Time experience yet.
Hard to beat Chelios, Kane, Bedard night. It was incredible. Eddie Vedder night. It
is, and it's really like something where we didn't have to worry about buying tickets because we knew the Game Time app would be there for us, ready to go. So we used it. It has great last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's got all that stuff. So really, if you haven't given them a chance yet, like I don't know what you're waiting for. You just download it, and you could always browse it, see what you like, see what you don't. But I promise you, there's going to be a lot to
look. If you're doing a spring training trip like us, and you want to go to the Sloan for the Cubs, or go to the White Sox, Camelback, Game Time will have tickets there. Opening day will be here before you know it. Game Time is always the best option. And like me, I'm a spur of a moment, go to the Cubs game guy. Game Time came through huge.
Yep. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DOGWALK for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DOGWALK for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, fun one today. Not fun one. A lot of kind of
Got some
little heavy parts.
Yeah.
But, we got a couple Navy guys in here. We got one Navy SEAL, the guy who killed the pirates in the movie Captain Phillips.
Yeah.
Crazy movie, crazy story that I'm sure everyone has seen. So
he's so nonchalant about it.
I know. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like how, so you guys will hear it. So thanks to those guys again for coming in. And with saying that, we could just toss it over to Terry and Alex. All right, Bimang, welcome to the show here. As you guys can hear, we're joined by two people in studio. It's myself, it's Chief. We're joined by Alex Witt and Terry Huyen. Did I get it?
You got it. There you go.
Huyen, gotcha. All right, both Navy guys, Alex and Terry here with Battle Bars as well. Excited to have you guys in. Thanks for making the trip.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Fun.
You had like a haul if people were listening to that beginning.
Yeah, I drove up from Texas on Saturday. We were down there wrapping up some training with some guys, and then hauled up here Saturday, and then drove up from Indiana up here today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I get a few hours behind the wheel.
Yeah, you left that part of the story out. I asked you where you came from. You're like, oh, Indiana. I'm like, oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah, today.
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
To be fair, today he did.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Mhm. So I met you guys at the Bellator fight. What was it? It was sometime in the summer.
Yeah, last June or something like whatever that was up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I we just chopped it up. I think our seats were like right next to each other. And you're like, hey, like I do this, and this is Terry. He's done this, and what you said, I was like, holy shit. And I'm sure you hear it all the time, and you've been on many podcasts. So you were one of the Navy SEALs who killed the pirates in Captain Phillips.
Yeah, I was one of the many on the team for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which have you seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
So I watched it Thursday for the first time. Yeah. Pretty crazy, man.
The tall, good-looking dude.
That was you?
Yep.
That was
Okay.
you?
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
The camera.
actually
for me, it
shrunk
adds a foot and a half.
Okay.
and takes a lot.
We got
of
to get those cameras in here. Yeah. I have the opposite problem.
Yeah. No, it was a good movie. I thought that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how did you feel about it?
And I haven't seen it in a while. A bunch of people asked me lately about it, so I got to rewatch it. But I watched it when it first came out, from a curiosity aspect of what did they talk about us, how they get into it, how they portray us, and all that. So I was really surprised and happy that they didn't really go into the military side of it too much. Mm-hmm. A little bit of the action, because there was a lot of that stuff going on the backside of the whole event, but they kind of focused more on Captain Phillips and his entire the days
His
leading
ordeal.
up to it,
Yeah.
what he went through during the event and then afterwards. So yeah, I thought it was good. It didn't really spend too much time talking tactics or kind of making us Hollywood too much.
But for the stuff that they did show, like obviously, like the bobbing of the boat, and we only got 2 out of 3. Was all that accurate at least?
We got all 3 of them at the same time. So
Yeah, but
I don't remember if they did that. If they did 2 or 3, or what they did on the action side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think that's what they were saying. Like you were waiting to get it all 3, but like
it was like a
do it now.
whack-a-mole.
Yeah,
The old whack-a-mole at Chuck E. Cheese. It's like 1's up and then 2's up and then 1's down and 3's up. It's
So in production,
waiting
they didn't ask you guys
so they
for writing the
had
script and all that.
Yeah, they had some. I was telling Eddie this before you guys showed up. So they had some guys come out and do not really consulting, but kind of observe and kind of fact check a little bit. So I think they did a pretty good job. I was deployed again by that time, so I missed out on that. So yeah, I mean it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was good. It portrayed us well. Didn't get too much into our tactics, but that was fun to watch.
Okay. What's the process like when you try to come up with tactics for a very unique mission like that? Like that can't happen every day. Like how much training would you have to prepare you for something like that?
And we train at such a high level all the time. Well, I'm retired now. I say we in past tense, but we would train at such a high level all the time to be prepared. So if I'm training here, no matter what happens on the battlefield, it's always easier than whatever we train. So that gives me that much capacity to deal with whatever weird shit pops up. So for that event, me in a hostage rescue situation, which we train a bunch for, it's like, okay, I know where the hostage is. I know where the bad guys are. How do we solve the problem as safe as we possibly can and guarantee the outcome as much as possibly can? So, that event traveled on for a few days. I don't know how much it portrays in the movie, but it portrayed on for a few days of negotiations and corralling the boat around and negotiations again, pulling a guy up, one of the pirates out because he stabbed himself earlier in in the event. So we pulled them out for medical. Obviously, when we do that, we arrest them. We take one of those equations out of the problem. But it really wasn't that complex because we had a very captured problem set. Like it's in the lifeboat. Nothing outside the lifeboat really matters because that's the threat, really. It's like I got 3 people. I got 1 Captain Phillips. We know where he's at because we saw him when we pulled our raft up to transfer stuff. We could see where he was at, and he was tied into a seat. So I'm like, okay, they're not going to move him. He's always going to be there generally. So it really wasn't that complex. It was more of just a timing things. Like, okay, now we got him under tow. Let's pull him in. We got the sniper team there. And then once everybody knows what's going on, it's just a matter of just waiting it out. Like, go through the process of here's 2 guys, there's 1 guy, there's 3 guys. Oh, hey, now we got all 3 guys. Everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Boom.
Yeah.
And now, is that like, where are you when you get the call though? Like, where were you? Like, hey, we got a hostage situation.
So I was already over in that area doing some other work with a very small team of guys, and I was in a different country. My commanding officer calls like, hey, are you watching the news? I'm like, no, I'm like in Africa.
Working. Yeah.
So I went back to the hotel, watched the news. I'm like, all right, do you want us to come back? I'm like, no, they're so far out that we can't do anything physically from where we're at. So let's monitor it. Come like 5:30 the next morning or whatever it was, he calls like, hey, get back here to the other country as fast as possible. So it took a while. The rest of my team was up there. They're prepping parachutes. They're prepping everything else, briefing, calling the Bainbridge on teaching them how to do a parachute recovery at night in the ocean because they'd never done it before. So the team is doing all of this on the backside. I'm coming back with the other team member, and we're such a well-oiled machine and worked well together under the units that were there. It was pretty simple. Like by the time I got back to the command, I'm like, okay, what's going on? They get an update. Air Force guys have already got, everybody's briefed. We got all the parachutes. We got all the medical. Like everything's ready to go. We just jump on a plane and go. So it's complex, but pretty simple, right? It's like, hey, here's a problem. We've got to get from here to there as fast as possible. That's an airplane. That's jumping into the ocean. Right? Do we have somebody on the backside that can pick us out of the ocean when we get there? Yeah. Yep, we do. Just a coordination factor after that.
Those parachutes fucked me up.
Yeah.
It's pitch black like that. You're just diving down. Because I always say, the ocean's one of the scariest things.
Yeah, but the Indian Ocean has no sharks in it at night.
So. At all?
Oh, really?
No, not at night. They go to sleep. So.
Learn something new every day. Right. What are your nerves like for a mission like that where there's no direct danger to your own life compared to being in in a battle zone? Does it change it at all?
Not really. Because at the end of the day, it's dangerous, right? Skydiving, ocean, all that stuff. Yeah. We just lost a couple guys a couple weeks ago, Indian Ocean, but it's the threat factor is still there. The fear factor is still there a little bit, but again, we train at such a high level. Like we train at that level all the time that when I go on target and bullets start flying, it's not that big a deal, right? It's like I can deal with it. And again, I've been out for a while yet, but like in the heyday in Iraq, when we were hitting targets every night and doing multiple targets every night, it got into almost like a Matrix like video game. You go into a door, shit starts popping.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
Here. Yeah.
So shit starts popping. Yeah. It's almost like,
you're good.
ooh, I got a red flag over here. I've got a green, like that's safe over there. And then everybody's at that same level. Like, hey, if I'm going left, my responsibility is left. I don't care what's going on to the right. If I hear shots over there, those guys have it.
That's not your job.
That's not my job. They have my back. I'm going to take care of my stuff. So we were such a highly functioning, high performance team that, yes, it was dangerous, but it wasn't. We stacked the deck in our favor, I guess is how I would say it. Yeah.
Well, you guys
and we do
best.
everything at night, and we use night vision, and most enemies don't have it. At least back then, they didn't have it, so we would stack the deck in our favor as much as possible.
How in buds, like how much of the training is in the dark like that?
Oh, well, we would do dives at night and do some stuff at night, but buds is the basic underwater demolition school, so it's like basic stuff. We don't get any advanced compared to military, normal military, yes, but buds training vice what you get into SEAL teams or National Mission Force, that kind of stuff is not even, it's like high school football vice.
Really? Yeah. So I feel like that's not discussed in the general public. Like you always hear about buds and Hell Week.
Oh, it's tough.
How awful it is. But then you're saying once you're in, it just gets harder. Kind of, is that what you're saying?
It gets more complex.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Hard. Yes. Buds is hard.
Yeah.
Hell Week sucks. It's hard, but I was telling Eddie first, like Hell Week, the beauty of Hell Week is 5 days long. Once you get past that first day and a half, like you're on fucking autopilot. Like, I don't fucking care anymore. You can't hurt me. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm wet. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to make me wet again. Okay. Now I'm cold again. Like
I'm past the point
whatever.
of a human being.
Yeah. When am I eating again? Where do you want me to run now?
What time of year did you do buds?
That was April. So it was cold. I mean, the water's cold, but but on the backside, when I was up here running training for pre-buds, I'd go out and observe Hell Week and help out. And the backside, you don't realize it when you're in training, but it is scripted to the minute. Like, I know exactly if the water temp's this, I can keep the guys in the water for X amount of time.
Really?
And it is so scripted because we need a end result, right? We have to weed out the guys that are not mentally tough enough to do the job and can actually think when they're in that pressure situation and when it's painful and miserable. If the guy can't think and operate at that, then he's not part of this group, right?
Do you get a feel for like just looking around the room or like early or the first couple days of buds being like, that guy's got it or this guy doesn't have it? Like
I try to not let that like personal feelings or like my guess on somebody, because like when I was up here running pre-buds, so pre-buds at the time, it's changed now, but guys would go to boot camp and they would come over to us. We'd have usually 200 or so in a class, and we'd get them for 8 weeks, and we would run them up at Great Lakes. They'd do running, swimming, working out, like all this stuff, doing mental prep and everything else.
Was that when you were contractor? Was that contracted?
No, that's what I still acted before I retired. So Cordy was up there. He was one of the contractors. We had a bunch of contractor coaches and stuff, but I tried to not let my personal feelings of like, I don't think this kid has it. Because, and and the reason for that is like an 18 or 19-year-old kid that's fresh into the military, he's not mature, right? He's maturing, but he's not who he's going to be.
He doesn't have a fully formed brain yet.
3 years or by the time he gets through training. So outside of guys having issues with integrity or character, like that kind of stuff, I would flag right away. But unless I got a DUI or did something stupid, we would try not to drop anybody from class up here.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, you can watch a kid and talk to him like, he just doesn't have the heart for it.
Yeah. Well, it's like you talk about it with sports where it's like that guy looks great getting off the bus.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like an element of that where you're like, oh, like that guy, he looks the part. And then like if you're ever surprised by somebody who
it is. I mean, I was surprised, like in my buds class, I had a couple guys that were just like studs, right? Coming in, they're just men coming through there, but they didn't. What we realized over time is like the kids that always excelled in sport, like the high school football captain, all this stuff, he always won. And was kind of crafted to, once the screws really came down and he wasn't special anymore, a lot of those guys didn't have the mental resolve to stick with it. They were like, hey, we're special, or I'm special, everybody always wins, everybody's going to cater to my needs. Like, when you're in buds, nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who your dad is, because we had a lot of legacy kids come through, it doesn't matter. Right?
How many were in your class? Do you remember?
We started with like 119, I think, and 14 of those original guys graduated.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we ended up with 21 or so that graduated. Some guys rolled back in.
Yeah. Is that normal, or is that like a
we're over the last 40 years, we're probably still 80% attrition rate.
Wow.
And it fluctuates a little bit, but not much.
When I was in Iraq, I met this was back in like 2003, 2004, but we met these guys from like Blackwater. And that's when like everyone knows what Blackwater is nowadays, but like at the time I was 20 years old. I had no idea what that was, right? And I just saw these dudes wearing like Yankees hats and making a shitload of money, and I was making jack and shit. They were doing the same job that I was at the time, and I was like, wait a minute, what? How does this work?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of these guys were guys who like kind of like what happened. I'm sure you've heard about like buds duds or washing out, right? Like, so a buddy of mine, he went through buds, made it through Hell Week, and tore his ACL, and you have to roll back in, right? Like,
yeah, there's certain injuries that like it takes so long to recover, we can't keep you around, right? Because we only have so much capacity for students at buds. So some of those, like an ACL or something else that's bad, it's going to take a long time to recover. We just send you to fleet and like, hey, reapply in 2 years. Yeah.
But imagine having to
go through Hell Week and then
yeah,
brutal.
Yep.
And that, so what's the difference? So you were just in the Navy, right?
Yeah.
So what's the what's the difference between like the path to the SEALs and what you did?
You could tell, right? Well, he's got a gym now, so he's been working out.
No, I mean, so like for me, it was I didn't really know what I want to do. I knew that like when I got out of high school, I was like, I can't go to college. Like that's trouble. like, right? Like I'm not going to survive college. But like,
you just lift your mic up a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah. Better.
A little bit closer.
Yeah,
like
it's a little closer.
like you're used to.
Yeah.
Real smooth, Harry. Yeah. So like when I got out of high school, it was like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea. Like it was like either just figure it the fuck. That's literally what the shirt says.
Figure the fuck out.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I got in, and there was all these things to do, and you go into boot camp, and there is. I love the military. I mean, I like every business that I own talks about the military to support it. But man, just like in life, there is some total shitbags, right? Yeah. That you go in with, and you're like, wait a minute. So this dude's gonna get my back? Are you sure about that? Like, this doesn't seem right. And that's like, I think the difference is, and I don't mean that in a bad way towards all Navy, because I've met some of my best friends in life, right?
Yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to find a career for my life. I didn't know if I wanted it to be my career in the military, but I knew that, like, I looked at it as that's like my version of college.
Yeah,
so
like a jumping off point.
So like I wanted to go be a cop. So I was like, I will go be a cop or a firefighter, and that's the easiest path to do. I like that stuff. I enjoy it, and I like feeling like I'm helping someone. I enjoy that factor. So I was in what was called an MA, just Master at Arms, and then. After, like, I joined in August of 2001, which was like right before 9/11.
Good timing.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Right. So when I got in, like, there was no Facebook, right?
Yep.
There was no social media, right? Like, do you remember calling back home on satellite phones?
Mm-hmm.
And like now everyone's like, "Hey, Mom, what's up?" I'm like,
that's pretty crazy.
It's
now everyone's like that, right? Like, I think they do that now, but like when I was in, it was like I would call my mom on a satellite phone from like Al Basra, Iraq, and I'd be like, "Hey, Mom," and then she just didn't understand that stuff. She didn't understand how it worked, so you have to wait like
delay.
5 seconds for it to bounce off the satellite. And then she'd go, "Oh, my baby," like, "Oh, this," and I'm like, "No, wait, Mom, there's going to be a delay." And then it was like, and then my like boss, my CO was like, "Yo, this is literally $1,000 a minute, so you better hurry up." And I'm like, I'm just gonna hang up now.
Yeah.
This is kind of
love you, bye.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is kind of a waste of time.
It's crazy though. In the generation before you, they'll be like satellite phones. We didn't have that shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
it.
Letters.
Like, we'll see you when we get home.
Morse code. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's all different. And now everyone's like, "Ugh, today sucked. This is brutal," right? Like,
Yeah.
And you're like, "What the fuck?"
How do you think that impacts like quality of life or morale? The technology today, does it help it or hurt?
I think it helps because I mean you're away. Well, I guess it goes both ways. Like my first Iraq deployment, 2003, when I left, my wife was pregnant, and the command told them, like, don't expect to hear from your husbands for a while. So that was March, and I didn't call until probably end of April, May.
Oh.
So, and, she's pregnant and has a kid and everything else. She's watching the news, everything else going on. So it's like, it's impactful for her, but it was great for me because I didn't have to think about it, right? Like, like she's got home taken care of.
Yep.
I'm just going to go to work and get the job
do
done.
my job.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's probably different because I don't know about you, but I was writing letters, like keeping my mind like sharp. I was writing letters and reading books because there's like nowadays everyone's just I imagine they're just looking at their phones or looking at articles or watching Barstool, right?
Yeah.
Or like, but that's probably keeping them entertained.
Yeah.
Whereas like for us, like, I don't know, probably a political factor too, because if someone complained about something or they would see something, you do have to get into action like really quick. There wasn't like photographers around like everywhere.
Okay.
There wasn't like camera crews, right? Yeah. Like, so where I lived in southern Iraq, there was like for the first like 2 months, we didn't shower. We didn't do anything. We were just like, do you remember the oil?
Oh yeah, we stole the water truck and turned it into a shower.
So we lived in these oil terminals, and I used to chew. Do you remember like Redman and Big League?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time, right?
Duh.
So Redman, like in baseball, we used to do that. So like Redman and Big League Chew, and we were chewing like, oh my God, man, like. Dude, I was like, we had like this
double horseshoes. What are we talking?
Oh, big time. We would go through like a sleeve of these things like every week. It was ridiculous. So, so we had to go, like, we had these like oil tankers that would come up, and they would fill up oil at the station we were like doing security for, and teaching these Iraqis how to like do security, which was a whole nother story, right? So we go onto this ship, and that was my job to go talk to them. I'd hand them this card, and we'd ask them for fresh water. So I go on, then usually like none of them spoke English. So I get in the ship, and there's this Swedish guy, speaks fluent English, and he's like, oh, and he's talking to me about his daughter and how he wants to come to America, and he's showing me pictures. I have this massive chew in my mouth and nothing to spit it in. Because usually I'm in and out of there.
Yeah.
And he's just talking my ear off. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something. I got to make a decision. And I went, swallow this whole thing.
Gutted it.
Dude. I mean, I know people like, there's guys that are like old school military, man. Well, they'll just gut it all day. And that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
That's like hardcore, like gunner's mate, old school gunner's mate guys.
BMs.
Oh, yeah, dude. Those guys were nuts. But I'm like, I swallowed it for 2 days straight. I was just like for 2 days straight in the middle of Iraq when it's like 120 degrees is not fun, man.
No, that's terrible.
Just disgusting. But yeah.
Yeah. But I also think like the social media factor, like it's bad for people here in a sense for like what you see and like, you want that life. I feel like that could be a bad side.
Yeah.
For
like makes you itch to get home more, maybe.
Yeah. Right? Like, I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't know, because you itch to get home because you miss home, but then you're also still connected with home.
Yeah.
All the time. So I mean, it's probably very personality based, like how you can segregate what's on your phone and what's real.
Yeah. I can imagine like a 19-year-old kid being like, I chose to go to the Navy or the Army, and then all his buddies are being idiots in frat houses, like where it's like, oh, what did I do? But he's probably set up better. So I want to go back to that Blackwater thing, because I've never really understood how that was like allowed and legal. I didn't know that they made more. So like when you would see those guys in the field, was that something where you were like, man, like fuck these guys, or was it like, oh, we're all on the same team?
No, so like their role, so their role was essentially private security contractors.
Okay.
So
are they like the green zone?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. So
Okay.
they provide escorts and that kind of stuff, security details and whatnot. Because like the military's role is X, right? Like protect and defend, fight the enemy, like all that stuff. Like sitting around and guarding news broadcasters is not what we do.
Oh, okay.
So the State Department, DOD, essentially started writing these contracts to private security firms to come over and provide security.
Okay.
Some of the guys, like Blackwater at the time, took it a little too far and got into some troubles.
Yeah.
But most of it was centered around private security type
Okay.
details.
So they weren't like storming.
They're not a militia. They're not
Okay.
going hitting targets
Okay.
and doing that kind of stuff. At least not legally. I don't know
Okay.
if they did or not, but
Yeah.
they should.
Not supposed to.
No.
Okay. All
It was
right.
just different when you're like, I knew what I was doing. I was teaching Iraqis to protect an oil platform.
$3.50 a day.
Yeah, literally. And
Probably a little bit more going in and out of that port money wise.
well, dude, I remember like talking to that, like the guy that I met. And then I remember like talking to these Iraqi guys who were teaching, and like, they told me they made like $100 a month or something like that, or $200 a month. And they were doing security for this platform. And we're like,
You guys got to go on strike.
like something's not working out well.
Yeah,
Like, this is like there was this guy, his name was, I don't know if we can say this, maybe I shouldn't say it, I don't know.
We don't have to say his name.
Yeah.
Probably tell the story.
Well, his name was Muhammad.
Okay.
And
Which one?
that's a good point. Easy, right? His name was Muhammad, but like, so this guy was so cool, man. I mean, he loved us, loved us. And he had this huge mole on his face. I mean, like huge. And we called him Mohammed. And he never understood it.
Yeah.
He never understood. So I remember like we had this what like a barg?
I don't know. Use your words.
I know, I can't remember the name of this like a ship. I've been out for a long time. But anyway, but we had to, barge.
Like a barge.
Yes,
like a
thank you.
flat one.
Yeah. So like we had to do security for that. Was our job to go do security from there to like southern Iraq. And we're getting onto this thing. I'm thinking this is no big deal. And Mohammed rolls up and he's looking at me. He's done this like a few times. And he looks at me like he is never going to see me for the rest of my life. And he like looks at me, like gives me a pack of smokes. He's getting me this and he's like saluting me. And I'm like, where am I going right now? Like, I feel like I wasn't properly like told what's happening. It ended up being not that big of a deal, but it was just crazy, man. Like these guys were like in southern Iraq, they were a little more friendly, at least from my experiences. Like they were really pretty friendly to us, and they were just genuinely good people. But man, like you talk about like loving your country and listening to the bullshit that happens. like even now, like we have it so good.
Yeah, I know.
It's just so good. Like our lives are not tough, man.
People should not complain the way that they do.
Like,
still get to live in America.
Yeah, we're sitting here talking on a podcast right now, just shooting the shit with some cool people, and
Like, I don't even know how any of this shit works. That's my job, like.
As long as this is in front of me, I'm good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah.
I can't even,
Shout out Lance. He makes everything work. Yeah.
Lance already flipped me off like twice. The mic's not close enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I'm blanking on his last name, Tom. I know his handle's Killzone, and he wrote a book about getting his interpreter back over here, and when everything went down when they pulled out. But like the relationships are real that you form with them.
Yeah,
there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, majority of them, they're good people, just like Iraqis and Afghani. Like majority of people in the world are good people. You got your bad apples, and you got the people that are brainwashed. So good with the bad, but generally speaking, most of the people I met in Afghanistan were nice people. I mean, it's odd. Like on my first deployment, I was doing some stuff on the border. At night, I was standing on the top of the mountain. On my left side, completely black. Not a speck of light, maybe a fire. On my right side, streets, street lights, electric wires, like running water. The contrast between Pakistan and Afghanistan could have been 2,000 years when you're looking at it.
Really?
So what drives the people is like they care about their family and their village. Like the shit that goes on
Not
the
a bad
other
way to
side,
be.
like the other valley, doesn't really impact them. So like they're very kind of centralized and whatnot.
Like insular.
So, very insular. So I had this conversation with my dad. He's like, "What do you think? How long you guys gonna be over there?" I'm like, until there's an education over there, or some form factor of nationalism, we're not going to solve the problem. Because it's again, they're very insular. They care about their village. It's like, hey, Chicago cares about Chicago. They don't give two shits about LA or anything else, right? In the U.S., we're a country. We still kind of care about our neighbors and our friends and everything else.
You have some sort of fabric of identity.
Yeah, not so much. It's very, very tribal. Or at least it was.
I was never in Afghanistan, but like a lot of my friends were, and I don't know if you agree with this, but they said if you just look at Afghanistan and forget what's happening there, it's pretty beautiful. Like looking around, it's gorgeous. Like they're like really? From the views to like the valleys to everything. It's
and then the history there is incredible. Yeah.
That's like the one place that's never really been conquered. Like the British tried, the Soviets tried. We were there for 20 years. It's crazy. It is. You can't. It's all mountains.
Yeah.
Next Barstool office in Afghanistan.
Kabul.
Kabul. Yeah.
That outpost there.
Yeah.
So I know. So we also have a military podcast here, Zero Blog 30, and I remember I think it was Kate who wrote a blog that kind of stuck with me. Once they kind of pulled out and everything was, she went overseas and all that, and she kind of like got to the point where she's like, what was it for? Like, do you get that like sense? Like, what was or do you have like more of a clear like line? Like, hey, I went over there to serve my country, and that was what I was doing. I was following the orders, or is it kind of like a larger like philosophical thought process?
I don't think maybe I was just like, Terry can speak to this because he's been in for 300 years, but
I am experienced.
But like for me, like I was 18 to 23 years old, so for me it was like, this is my job. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. That's also like what translates well, like when you get out, is like all these like jobs that people have to do, like for when you own a business like my companies, or it's like you have to work sometimes, like you're on 24/7. There's no breaks, but that's expected, right? Like I feel like even though I was only in for like that short time, it was,
you got that discipline.
Discipline, because like you don't ever stop working. Like you're always trying to get better at something, But I'd let Terry speak to that over time, because I don't know if that weighs on you over time.
Not really. We were over there, at least on the special operations side. Like there truly are bad people over there, right? So our job was to kind of get rid of them, solve the problem. Obviously, find Bin Laden and like all that kind of stuff that we did, national and everything else, but. I kind of realized after the first couple of years that it's going to be a long haul over there, and we're going to continue to weed out the bad people as much as we can, try to help the good people. But you can't really show me any country that the military is a good rebuilding force.
Yeah.
Like it's not what we do. We've never been good at it. From Germany all the way up to today, like we go in and we conquer, we destroy shit and break stuff and kill the bad guys.
Yeah.
After that, like we should be out there, state or UN or whoever. Do that shit.
It's like Team America. Remember the opening scene from Team America? We're like, he's like, it's okay. Everything, the Eiffel Tower's like falling down, and like everything's blown up and shit. People are dead everywhere. They're like, don't worry, we fixed it.
So when you were in Afghanistan, then was it ever like, I'm following my orders, but like I think this plan is fucked? Did you ever have like for like on a bigger, not like mission to mission, but like your whole
government.
Yeah, like did you were like, we should be doing like a Marshall Plan like they did after World War II or something like that?
Not really. The nice thing is like 9/11, I was mid 20s. No, yeah, late 20s. So it wasn't.
Were you already in at that point?
Yeah, I was already in. I came in 92. So by the time 9/11, I've been around a little bit. And so I knew how the military worked and like what my role is, what my superior's role, like all that kind of stuff. So the foreign policy and government policy, that didn't really kind of trickle down to us too much, especially on the special operations side.
Yeah.
Like we're here for X. We're not the big, provisional rebuilding team or the PR, like all that kind of stuff, the village guys. That's not us. So that never really trickled down. Some of the stuff we were doing afterwards and the small mission stuff, like a lot of our stuff was directly driven and helped drive foreign policy for the U.S., kind of like the Africa stuff. So that was kind of rewarding a little bit, but also very frustrating because you're like, as boots on the ground, like here's what's happening and how the policy works in real life.
Right.
Here's what DC or whoever else is saying it should be working like, and it's not the same, right?
Disconnect there.
Yeah, you go back to the embassy and be like, hey, that shit don't work. Like free wells or whatever else, that's nice, but it ain't making any friends out there, right? So that's a little discouraging when you are implementing policy and you can see it doesn't work, but somebody had a good idea, so they don't want to give it up.
Yeah. And I remember reading an article a long time ago, maybe 7-8 years ago, where they found these lithium reserves.
Oh, yeah.
Like they got like trillions of dollars of like rare earth minerals there. And they would tell the locals like, hey, like you could be the Saudi Arabia of minerals. Like you have so much wealth here. You could build up this country could be whatever you want it to be. And they're like, well, what do we need that for? Yeah. Like, so it's like, how do you incentivize them to kind of, I don't know if you would do that as much of that as special operations, but like, how do you get them to see a brighter future, a bigger picture that's more in line with what you guys were there for?
That's it. I mean, we can go down the political side if you guys want, but that's
dangerous path.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of one of my ass pains with the U.S. government and their policies. Like, we love to give money away to people to help make them better. Like, hey, let's help you build a mine or whatever else, and it's yours, and you can prosper, and then it doesn't go anywhere, and it just money gets siphoned off, and corruption and all that stuff. It doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Chinese on the other side, and we can edit this out if you guys want, but
nope.
Chinese go out and they're like, hey, we will build a mine. It's going to be our mine, and then we will buy the stuff from you, and you'll get some money back, but it's our mine. It's our people working there. It's our port, our people working there, because it furthers our interests. And you as the country, you can benefit by the money that we're paying
a royalty.
for this. Yeah. But they're not giving away stuff. It's like, it's theirs.
Okay.
They're playing a long game. We're trying to still build friends and influence people around the world where it doesn't really work anymore, right?
Yeah. It's like the road belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did an episode of, what was it? Belt and Road Initiative, where they're just, they got ports in Djibouti. They got ports, all over the place. And it's just like, hey, this is our shit.
Yeah.
Like, so it's very Sri Lanka. Like they just start building these bases.
Yeah, it's two different approaches, and I can tell you which one's working and which one's not.
Yeah. I wonder, and it's like, we go over there, it feels like we're trying to give stuff to win hearts and minds. Yeah. And even that doesn't work. So it's like you're paying for nothing.
There's no return on investment on that stuff.
But then I feel like people would be like, oh, you're stealing their minerals. Like, I feel like that would be the narrative.
You're still gonna have people say that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we went to Iraq for the oil. Like,
that's true.
Whatever,
Yeah.
Like, I went to Iraq because I was told to go to Iraq, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the military guys are just doing what they're told. But I mean, there's always like, there's money and power that drives everything in the world. So it's like, how do you interpret that? How do you deal with that and just still do the right thing when it comes to either boots on the ground or processing targets or whatever it's going to be?
I get why, like, as you get older though, like I'm 40, I'll be 41 this year. And like, I feel like as you get older, that's when you start to question things a little bit more. And I understand why, like, there's people that are opposing of that. I think that like sometimes people just kind of like are sheep and they follow like what's trending.
Oh yeah. Very much.
They follow the trend, which is just like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Or
they say the thing that people will tell them they're a good person for thinking. Yeah. Which,
the danger, I think the dangerous path that, like, at least in my opinion, like that the US is on is that like, we're like, back in the day, probably like, when you were in Vietnam, just kidding. But like back in the day, like if they send you somewhere, you're like, I'm going to do what my government tells me. Like, and like everyone always brings up like World War II stuff, but like, right. Like people were lying about their age to go into the military and fight for their country because they're so proud of it.
Yeah.
We can't even pay people to go into the military now.
Yeah.
There's such a shortage of people. There's such a shortage of people for the right jobs that they're like, I mean, I don't know if that's still a thing. I would imagine.
Yeah, I had the stats. So I was friends with the boot camp master chief, and we had this conversation while I was still in. So it's dated like 5-6 years. But if I have the numbers right, he said 80% of the U.S. population can't even join the military because of records or grades or whatever it's going to be, or is it 60%? Now 60% can't join the military, and then 80% of the ones that can't pass any of the physical qualifications for it.
Just we're too obese
too obese, too weak, too feeble. So you figure 18-year-old kid is too feeble to do 100 push-ups. It's not even that for the military. It's like 30 or something stupid. Yeah.
But I heard that Navy boot camp it's like nothing. It's just annoying, right? It's just
teaching how to be in the military.
Right. Okay. That's it. It's just annoying, right? Like,
really?
It's just annoying.
What do they do for that? I don't feel like I've ever seen that in pop culture for Navy boot camp.
It's in Great Lakes.
Yeah, I knew.
They still scream at you. They still feel like you're worthless. But that's it's the breaking down to like nothing. So they build you back up in an even
to a competent person.
Hey, let's take a quick break here because I want to talk about Stella Blue coffee. We believe good coffee is one of life's non-negotiables. Stop drinking those boring, tasteless, big coffee beans and turn to Stella Blue. Remember, your mornings are sacred. It's time to start treating them that way. Not only are Stella Blue coffee's premium beans sourced with the most coffee-rich geographies on Earth, but they are Big Cat tasted and approved, which is obviously more important. Stella Blue coffee's delicious roasts are available in cold brew, K-cups, ground, and whole bean formats to seamlessly fit into your morning coffee routines. Oh, and every bag sold helps save dogs.
That's great. This company's all about saving dogs these days, and Stella Blue's the best. That's how I start my day. Come to the office. We have the nice machine over there, Stella, loaded with 4 different types of Stella Blue. They're fantastic. You guys got to get on it.
So take back your mornings today by heading to StellaBlueCoffee.com. Use promo code WALK for 20% off any order of $25 or more. Or find Stella Blue Coffee on Amazon, available for next day delivery. Again, promo code WALK for 20% off any order of $25 or more on StellaBlueCoffee.com. Go do it. All right, let's get back into the interview.
But dude, I mean, I get like boot camp, like my bunkmate peed on me, peed in his bed. Wetting his bed. I had there was guys complaining that they couldn't march anymore because their feet hurt. But what I heard after the fact, I don't know if this is true, but and this was 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that these guys they don't have to wear boots anymore. Oh,
it's weak now.
I heard you can wear gym shoes.
You got Asics on?
Yeah, you can wear gym shoes, dude, marching. And I'm like, wow, man. I remember the only thing I would say, the one thing that has really stuck with me, that in Navy boot camp, in most boot camps, I'd imagine, that you have to just scarf down your food so fast. I've not lost that.
Oh, I can eat fast as shit.
Yeah, that battle bar, I'll just gorge 2 days. Yeah. It doesn't even matter. Anything. I'll just crush these things. But that's the one thing. You go in, you eat, and you eat so much at once. But you're marching around all day long. You're doing stupid drills, but it's all to get you into a mindset. And at the end of it, I was like, did we just do all this stuff just so we could show off that I could march in place in front of my parents at the end of this thing at graduation?
You did it all so that you could learn how to take orders.
That's it. That's exactly it. There was this thing that we did. It was called making it rain. Did you ever do that? Did you ever hear about this? So there's 60 dudes into this room, and they used to turn up the heat, and then they turn all the showers on, and on hot. So all the steam would come through the room, and then the guy would just come in and just beat the shit out of us for an hour. Just beat the shit out of us for an hour. And I was like, ugh. And every time someone would fuck up, and there was this kid, his last name was Persico. I'll never forget his name for the rest of my life. Because I was 18 years old, and this boot camp thing is that hard. And all of a sudden they just turn the heat up in the dish, and you're like, shit.
Here we go.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
And then actually he left. He got kicked out of boot camp.
What do you think about, the Israelis have compulsory, you turn 18, I think you got to do at least 2 years, maybe 3 years. Yeah. And you're saying 80% or whatever the numbers was, can't get through it. Do you think, and you're a guy who's I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went into the military, and it seems like you're living a pretty good life right now. You're leading a good life. Do you think that that's something that the United States should explore? Is everyone at 18 has to do 2 years of service?
I would love it.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, because you can't do it in the military, right? There's just not that much capacity in the military for that.
Yeah.
But some kind of service, because what I see, and my girls are in college now, is I see in that 18 to 20-year-old kids, or 16 to 24, or whatever you want to call it, there's not really an appreciation of what you have.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of people like to complain about the United States right now. They have never been outside the United States to see, one, what a third country world really looks like.
Yeah.
What a dictatorship really looks like. What persecution really looks like what struggle. Like people in Africa, the only thing they care about is, can I feed my family this week?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care gender or what you look like or clothes you wear. Can I feed my family this week?
Yeah.
Do I have a roof overhead? Like, so if there's some kind of way to demonstrate, whether it's Peace Corps or service or some kind of way of give back to appreciate what you have, that would put us on the right track.
Yeah.
But we are pretty weak right now, so there's not a lot of people that actually do that, I don't think.
But if they were made to, like,
if they're made to,
you can choose some, hey, like if you want your college paid for, everyone wants debt forgiveness. But if you want that,
we're already doing that though. So does it matter, right?
I know, but I've got mixed feelings.
I see what you think.
Yeah. But like you can do that. We'll pay for your school, but you have to be in the National Park Service or the military or something. Yeah. And I feel I've always had that. I didn't serve or anything, but I obviously, but I do feel like maybe that would inspire a little more patriotism too.
Patriotism, but also appreciation.
Yeah.
For what we how good we have it here. I mean, as fucked up as everything is right now, we still have it better than everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it could be better.
It'd always be better, right?
Yeah.
No, but you always, but that's life, right? Like, no matter what you do in life, like you want to improve and everyone wants to have a 5 or 10 year plan and whatever. But I think that I completely 100% agree with you. Yeah. Like, is it possible? I think it's probably possible in a way that like you have to you probably have to sell it
for it.
Might be in a way because we have so much
sell
debt
it
that we have no other choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's like, to Terry's point, it's not like you must join the military and you must go be a Navy SEAL or you are fucked. No,
because there's a whole lot of people in this country that can't do the military job.
No.
Yeah.
And I would not want them anywhere near
I would not want
a Navy ship.
So no more draft.
Like, stay the fuck away from
There's people on the
$10 million ship, right?
But the way it's trending, like a lot of those people are probably going to sneak through the cracks, right?
Oh, they always do. They always have fun. I mean, even in the SEAL teams, you got some that slip through the cracks. Like,
that seems
how did
possible.
you make it?
Yeah, that seems.
I mean, it's a smaller percentage, but we get some every now and then. And they're like, dude, how did you make it through? Because you're, one, not safe, not competent. Like,
dude, someone peed their bed in my boot camp.
Yeah.
Peed on me.
Well, you paid him for it, so.
I asked him to.
Yeah,
exactly.
That doesn't matter. He still did it.
Yeah, he should have known better.
Should have known not to pee on me.
Now, is that like fucked up for you that like sooner or later, like the standard for the buds will kind of get lower and lower, or
we're still maintaining the standard, right? At least that's what they say. Mm-hmm. I think what they're gaining is more leniency if kids can't pass tests or they get hurt along the way. There's more leniency to keep them around and help them, because we have dwindling numbers too. Because at least when I was still in, our numbers were, we had to make 235 SEALs a year to offset the 235 that were getting out or whatever was going on. And out of that, it would take, times that by whatever percentage to get through. We'd run 12,000 or whatever it is to get through training and get that 235. So we're still struggling to make those numbers. Well, not struggling to make numbers, struggling to find enough good candidates for those numbers. Mm-hmm. So if we make it too hard or keep the same, we still have the same aspects. It's like a 4 mile run, timed run is still the same time it's always been, right? All the tests are still the same going through. What we're doing is we're being smarter up front, like our buds prep. We would spend 8 weeks to teach these kids, how do I run? How do I work out? How do I swim? How do I hold them? Like all this stuff to physically get them ready so they're not getting hurt. Like we reduced the attrition rate from injuries quite a bit.
Okay.
But we still had at 80% attrition because it's all mental, right, at that point. Mm-hmm. So to get that same person out the back door that's going to show up and where I tried it and I see him across the battlefield, I'm like, okay, he's a SEAL. I know at least a baseline what he's capable of doing. So we can't really reduce the physical kind of requirements to a degree. But what we can do is educate them more and provide more training to help them meet that requirement. Okay.
Now,
some say it's getting softer, but buds is still buds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Now, do you find like that? Obviously, that ticket to entry is always like it's got to be that. For instance, like, do you see people who just like don't quite make it, but you're like, hey, I know you'd be a great Navy SEAL?
I don't know this because it's hard to say, right? Because as much as I know people growing up or guys in his teams, who they were at 18 or 19 or 20, 22 is not the same person they are when they're 30. So like, it's hard to say, like, what is that guy going to turn into? It's hard to say.
Yeah. Like that's because I have multiple friends who, back when we just got out of college, I took the Chicago police test, and they're like not out of shape dudes, and they, for whatever reason, they didn't complete the sit up portion, and now it's like the city can't call them back fast enough because now we have
dude. When I was 20,
it's crazy. You know? They would have been good cops. It would have been great for the city.
No, so we don't do that. I mean, once you go through, you get your shot. If you don't make it or you quit, you can come back and try again. If you make the numbers, there's numbers and the calculations, all that stuff go into it. But if you make the numbers and there's room for you to try back in 2 years, you can do that. That's about it. You get 2 shots and then you're about done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Did any part of you miss it? How long have you been out now?
It's 5 years now.
Okay.
Or a little 5.5, something.
Do you miss?
What I miss, and I had this conversation with some of the guys I was training last week. 2 parts. One, the camaraderie, the guys, like the team aspect of it. Like you show up, you have a purpose for work and what you're doing. Your country needs you, your family, like all that stuff. I miss the purpose and the guys mostly. And then what I miss, the other side of it, is just that pure thrill of going on target, getting shot at, and knocking down doors, and that your adrenaline's through the roof, dopamine's through the roof, but everything's slowed down, and you're operating at such a high level, like you almost feel invisible to a degree. Like I miss that feeling because it goes quick too. Like that was Iraq in 07, 08, in that time frame.
Bad.
Within a year of going
the surge, or right around that
right
time,
in the
middle of that.
Yeah, right in the thick of it. And then going from that and going to another job for a year or so, you're not on that same level anymore. It goes quick. It's like a freight train. I tell people, like, as soon as you step off, it's gone. It's like, I'll never get that back again.
Yeah.
But then the camaraderie and everything else. And it's a young man's game, right?
Yeah. You see like these stories about their pirates are back, right? Like they're attacking tankers and different shipping through, like, what is that? What's
Suez and all that stuff.
I don't think they ever left.
Yeah.
No, they're still there.
Well, maybe they're getting more publicity now, and it's like, oh, they're the Houthis and they're funded by Iran. I was wondering if you guys were like, man, like I'd like to be back in the mix of what's going on now. You know,
I mean, there's always that drawback, right?
Yeah.
God, because I could go
help
mess some dudes up, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm also 50.
Yeah.
And on a private side, like contract side, like you don't have that support you do on the military side. Like, we're in Iraq and shit goes south. I've got 15 airplane over the top of me. I got AC-130s, helicopters. Like somebody's coming to help.
Yeah.
Like you do that now in the contracting world, or if you're on a ship or something else that goes south, you can call people, but you're not getting help right away. So I'm like, 3 decades, I'm fairly well intact. I'm probably good with where it is. Now, I did have this conversation with a guy a couple weeks ago. I was like, I could see myself going back as consulting or mentoring, like teaching or running stuff. But then I'm like, man, they're going out the door. Maybe I should strap it on to them, go help out. And, and that's when it goes south, right? It's like, that's when we always get guys hurt that go back and work for OGA or somebody else, and then they get hurt. Like, damn, dude, you had 30 years of doing this stuff, and then you got hurt doing, because you just couldn't quite give it up yet.
I have this like text group of all the guys I was in with, and we send like stupid pictures from like back in the day. And honestly, man, like I actually don't feel that way. Like all these guys are like, you know what? I would drop what I'm doing now and I would go back in a heartbeat. Like, and these are like, we're looking at pictures of when I'm just disgusting.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like in the moment you were miserable.
Just miserable. And like hadn't seen a girl in like 7 months, and you're like, that didn't want to like destroy you.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think at least for me, like as I got older, like my priorities like try to change, and like my focus kind of has changed. And like, I'm so obsessed with like being a good dad. I'm like so obsessed with like business, and so obsessed with like fitness, or so whatever it is to try to be a better myself and like be a good example for the people around me. I'm obsessed with that. And like, do I fuck up? Fuck, man. Fucked up so many times. But like thinking about going back on it, it's hard to like look back, because I feel like if you look back, then you're not good at what you do now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. Definitely does.
But yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And like you said about the missions, like that is something that like you have like an instant gratification in that, right? Yeah. So like when like you guys are like all set up, like how difficult was that shot?
Oh, for
for the
like I hate to say it because it really wasn't that difficult.
Oh, really?
That blows my mind. It
Well,
seems impossible.
let me
I've started deer hunting. It's fucking hard.
Yeah. Let me put it in context again, because we train.
Idea, by the way.
We train so much, thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. So at that, I'm just floating my laser on where I want to hit and holding and waiting for the call. I mean, we train so much, it makes it an easy shot. Now, an average person trying to hit something on a boat that's, this ship's moving.
Yeah.
The lifeboat's moving, shit's moving around, everything else. It's hard.
It looks impossible. It looks impossible.
It is. But again, we train so much. It's like, I shoot stuff from a helicopter. I'm like, moving stuff is not difficult if you train a lot.
Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know. It just feels like, like you said, you got the ocean, the two different boats are moving, and then you all had to be coordinated. To fire at the exact same time. Just make like that. I remember watching that scene, being like, how the fuck did these guys do that? Like how, like even if you hear fire, it's like you one guy like can't be a half second off. Like, you have to be all locked in.
I liked what you said though, is that like that you train so much and so hard, that your training is so hard that when you go to the actual, it's like easy.
Yeah.
Like that's the easy part. So like, but that's dude, that's life and everything, dude.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember your first podcast versus this one?
Yeah.
A lot different.
Yeah.
A lot different.
Right? I mean, I don't know if that's the same thing. But
Office looks a little different.
Yeah.
We were in a closet in a shared space.
Dude, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Brutal. But like, did you know instantly then? Like, you're like, oh, we're good. Or did you have to see him walk out of that door and be like, all right, we're really clear?
Yeah, I mean, you're watching them, and I'd been watching this damn lifeboat for a couple of days now. So I'm like, I know there's the wheelhouse, because the really only shots we have is the wheelhouse, and if the guy comes up the hatch in the front. And they were doing that, right? They were just kind of one guy over here and one guy over there, and they come and yell at us for cigarettes or a cod or whatever the shit they wanted. It was just a matter of like, eventually all three of them are going to come up.
Yeah.
So you're just waiting it out, and then once they do see it, they got the guys in charge making a call. And
was there a backup plan in case you missed?
who's going to miss?
Well, if there's I don't know, if a lightning struck the boat at the same, was there like a protocol like, hey, if this doesn't happen, we're going to do.
Now, our backup plan is we don't do anything unless 100% guarantee it's going to work.
Okay.
So that was our backup. Like, we have one shot really.
Yeah.
And if we try to rush it or take an inappropriate time, then it's not going to work. So we're like,
better get it.
Hey,
right.
we got them under tow. I mean, they're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're either going to resolve it on our end or they're going to resolve it on their end. It's like just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And my takeaway too, respect to the captain, but he kind of was being an idiot, right? Like he was just kept trying to fuck around, jump in the water.
I mean, he's trying to get away, right?
Yeah, which I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in that situation, so I can't really say anything. But
yeah, and by that point, I mean, he was taped to a seat.
Yeah.
It's like when we pulled up with the ship or with the little rib and like passing off radio batteries and this stuff and talking to him, I could see where he was at. I could see, okay, he's like duct taped or zip tied or whatever he had to that seat on the front left. He's not going anywhere. They're not going to cut him loose and move him. There's no reason to. I'm like, okay, I know where he's at. Now it's just a matter of solving the problem. Mm-hmm. And it was like when we pulled up there, I told this to a few different people, but he's very stressed out, right? He's in there. He's like obviously concerned. You see the look in his face. But when we said, hey, Captain Phillips, just checking on you. Hey, just to let you know, the guys from Virginia Beach are here. Like his whole face, just demeanor changed. Like relax, like, okay.
Yeah.
Cavalry's here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait it out now, right?
yeah, I'm sure it was very Hollywoodized anyway. So
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look back at the movie to see what they did on that. But,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, because they had him like peeking out the back of the boat or something.
yeah, and then he would like charge him, and then like he was always like doing something. But you also don't know in that situation. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Damn. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
We got to get into battle bars. We got to get into Camp
Yeah,
Vertex.
there we
too.
go. So,
of course.
let's get into that
before
stuff.
we wrap up.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? I was actually thinking we should do it, and I would sponsor it with battle bars.
Yeah.
You guys should come down to Camp Vertex in Texas. That's his camp.
Yeah.
So what do we do there?
Yeah.
Well, what will we do or what do we do?
Well, both.
What we do at
Both.
Camp Vertex,
We're gonna put you in a boat in the ocean. Okay? We're gonna tape you to a seat.
we do have boats. Yeah, we do have some boats, so we could recreate some stuff. But,
Okay.
Yeah, so Camp Vertex itself, it's our, what do we do in the off season? So Skyfall Reserve is our primary business down there. It's a duck hunting lodge and all that stuff. But that runs November to January.
Okay.
So like, how do we pay the bills from February to September when I switch over to hunting season? So we came up with, hey, what do we like to do? So Steve and Tucker and I, it's like, all right, we all shoot guns. We fucking love guns and everything else. And Chicago loves guns, obviously. We love to fight. We got into the BJJ stuff. So let's build a camp. And it started small, and then as good ideas happen, they just kind of snowball. So now we've got a 3-day camp where you show up like we are. We've got all the guns, all the gear, all the bullets, all the fight gear, and we run 3 days of jiu-jitsu training or combatives if we want to mix it up. Human performance, pistol, rifle, carbine, you name it. It's like by the time you leave on Sunday, your body is physically smoked, but your mind's just like, oh my God, I got so much to learn. Because we run it at whatever pace people are in. So if you guys came down and you've never done jiu-jitsu before, we'll start your class from day one. It's like half the class maybe white belts or brand new to jiu-jitsu, some other guys maybe black belts. And we all roll together at everybody's pace and nobody's getting hurt. And it's set up to where we have no egos on the mat or on the range. So if you start getting tired or you're like, I need a break and watch this stuff a little bit, especially on a firing range, like, hey, I'm not comfortable. You can just step off and watch and observe, ask questions, and then get back into it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 3 days, fully inclusive. Like,
I love the
just get your ass beat.
It's pretty awesome.
I took 3 leg kicks from Bilal Muhammad, not to brag.
There you go.
Standing right here.
You get it. Yeah.
This was like how long ago was that?
I was in the fall.
In the fall, so we'll call it 6 months. I'm stopped limping. Yeah, but it like we another guy did it with me who's not White Sox Dave, but like we felt like when he kicked us so hard we thought we were gonna shit our pants. Like that's how it felt. But it also made me like curious about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like I've started, and I need to get in shape. So I've been looking at things because I hate cardio, but I'll play basketball all day long and I like to compete. So I think I want to try that. So I love the sound of it.
And it's awesome for me. So I started about a year and a half ago. I mean, we did combatives throughout SEAL teams, but like fully like trying to understand jiu-jitsu for me as a 50-year-old man now is so humbling. Because I'm getting beat up like 15-year-old kids and like high school wrestlers and women. And like in the real world, it's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to smash you.
I'll just beat your ass.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot you or whatever else. But on the mat, when I'm
like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like
Bang. Yeah. Trying to learn.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that matters is this right here. Like this shit matters. Like don't choke me. Don't break my arm.
Yeah.
And it's for 2 hours or however long I'm rolling. Fucking life can wait. It's a mental reset. Man. It sucks. I'm out of shape too. I'm like getting my ass kicked, and by the time you're done with it, you're like, oh, it's nice, and it's very low impact. I mean, you can get hurt, but just be smart. Like, oh shit, that hurts. Tap.
Okay.
And all right, let's just start again.
To the getting in shape point. I mean, you have 1 hour of, let's just say it's 1 hour of just you're rolling around for 3 to 5 minutes at a time, right? And you are drenched,
exhausted.
Exhausted. I mean, thousands of calories burned, but also you're learning ridiculously valuable life skills.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like any stress that's happening in your life, to his point, you cannot think about it.
Yeah.
As soon as you start to think about that and your mind goes somewhere else, you get choked out. I mean, I can't tell you.
It's my downfall too. So I'm a white belt still, so I don't know shit. Like, I am trying to survive. That's it.
Yeah.
So as soon as something happens, I'm like, pause for a second. I'm like, oh, I should do this. By the time I start thinking like, oh, I should do this next, it's too late now. I'm getting choked out. Like,
I used to do soul cycles, and they would be like, they're all hippy dippy, and they're like, oh, release all your stress. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like you're making me think about it more. Shut up. Just let me ride this bike. But this, breathe. I feel like I
dude, Terry's like a little spider monkey. Don't let him like fool you.
Yeah.
Last time we were at Vertex, I look over and he's like just jumped on this dude's back.
Yeah.
He's trying to choke him. Who was also
he's like six.
Where in Texas is this place?
We're about an hour outside of Dallas.
Okay.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
That would be great. I would love to do that. Yeah. Dude, and I know our other guy, White Sox Dave, would be all over that.
Yeah. Bring a whole Chicago crew down.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We'll have a podcast studio soon, so we can
awesome
chit chat about it afterwards too, and like expectations before. Maybe do a podcast before.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I mean,
after rolling around. Too. Just
Just same thing.
Give me an IV and an oxygen mask, and we'll do the podcast after.
Ridiculously good food too.
Yeah.
And ridiculous.
It's top shelf.
What kind of food we talking?
For the Vertex stuff, we do a lot of meat, a lot of organic materials. So we got a chef that comes in, so you don't have to think about anything. You just show up, get your ass kicked. Hit our IG page at Camp Vertex. You can see pictures of the.
And people can just sign up, or how does?
We have open classes for general public, and then we do private stuff too.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if you guys came down, we just run a private class, and yeah, so we do the same thing on corporate. We're trying to open up a corporate side for maybe a little less intensity, but and then talk leadership from a military standpoint as well.
Yeah.
But you get guys like Ryan Bader, who's like legendary, like we talked about, right? Like he comes in and teaches the stuff. And
yeah, I think this year we got Hoist Gracie's going to come down and do a class in September, I think.
Really?
August or September, I think. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, those dates will come out. So yeah, we try to do is every class is have somebody there. So we got Travis Stevens, Fuji. He's a Olympic judo guy.
Dude's a monster.
Oh, he's stupid. He's like,
just like, he's like,
okay.
He's just like, oh, I got one arm that's bad. It's like, he'll just pick me. I'm 200 pounds, like 190. You're on the wrong side. He'll pick me up with one arm. Like, go over here, try this, and then start choking me. Like, that is embarrassing that you just did that.
So you treated me like a toddler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, his partner, Tucker there, and he's a SEAL team guy too, right?
Okay.
So like, he's not like a slouch, right? Mm-hmm. And he is working so hard, like rolling with Travis. I mean, working so hard. And it doesn't even look like Travis is trying. Dude. No. He's just like sitting there.
No, he's like, here, take this. Yeah. Now do a Kimura. And he's like, oh no, you did it wrong. Try it again. It's like, but I mean, you get an Olympic level judo black belt and his Brazilian jiu-jitsu or black belt.
Silver medalist, right?
Yeah, I think he's a silver medalist, but just been doing it lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. Just like a baseball player is doing it for lifetime. It just makes you look stupid when you play against him, or basketball or anything else. Like,
yeah. So it's just camp /
underscore.
Dashvert. Camp Dashvert.
Dash? I thought it said underscore. I thought I just followed it. But
let's look it up. We have
multiple.
Yeah, we got Google machine here.
Yeah, exactly. We do.
I should know this since it's my business, but yeah, camp. Oh, there it goes. Camp underscore.
Terry just updated from a Samsung flip phone.
Beautiful.
Recently.
Yeah.
And then battle bars, Alex.
Yeah, bro.
This is it. So these protein bars, you've been sending them to me I posted it on my Instagram a couple months ago. We just had the lemon one, might be my favorite.
Lemon was, I haven't had the other ones. Lemon was awesome.
So dude, the base behind it is like we hired this private chef for this latest batch, and this is like the production moving forward, is that we want to make everything nostalgic. This is like every flavor should be nostalgic. So the chocolate is like let's call it, like we told our chef, like we want to make like Cocoa Krispies.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Lemon is like a lemon square, right? The strawberry is like a strawberry shortcake. The peanut butter is like a Nutter Butter bar. Mm-hmm. Right, cookies and cream is truly like cookies and cream, but like, you know, McDonald's when you go get one of those, that McFlurry.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah, so like, we want to get it, but we're like, but I also don't want to eat like a piece of shit. Like, I want to have like, so let's how do we do that? Because everything out there, like when we were overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and like my partner is an army guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and he's like, we both shared the same experiences. Everything was disgusting. So it was like Cliff bars, MREs, and power bars, right? Mm-hmm. And I looked at this and I'm like, after, you know, I got out, I was doing all this stuff, and I'm like, God, man, everywhere I go, like, it's still disgusting. But yet all these companies that are disgusting are selling for hundreds of billions. Like Cliff Bar sold for almost $3 billion, and it's disgusting. I'm sorry, like Cliff Bar people.
Good packaging.
It is like RX Bar, man. I just wasn't like the biggest fan, but like they're so brilliant at what they did. They sold for like $700 million, you know, but they're just so brilliant at what they did. And I'm like, wait a minute. So if you have good marketing and a good product and you have a niche market, you know, like
how high is up?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, so I thought it'd be pretty easy. It's not easy. It's really fucking hard.
They're handing out $700 million deals.
Yeah. So hey, I just made a bar. Give me like $500 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like the actual like crazy backstory behind this is, so when I got into this, I didn't have like a crazy amount of expectations, but so 2016 in July, my good friend who I was in Iraq with, he was killed in the Dallas police shootings. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
It was a sniper who killed like 5 officers.
That was horrifying.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It was the worst call you can ever get, because he's my best friend, dude. Like we actually had plans, like the weekend that we buried him. It was national news. It was a big deal.
I watched it on TV.
Yeah. So that weekend we were supposed to go to the Cubs Rangers game. It was the first Rangers game at Wrigley Field. It was the first time they really started doing interleague. Mm-hmm. So I went to. I ended up going to Texas to bury him instead.
Oh,
but first, you know, I didn't know what to do. Like that's like your pure anger, and like you want to like, what can you do though? The guy is dead. Mm-hmm. Right? The guy who killed him is dead. So what can you do? And what I found out was his girlfriend called me, and she's like, hey, listen, all these people are making like fake GoFundMe accounts and people are donating to them. Can you do something about it? I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do something. So I made like this account and ended up raising a good amount of money. I went on like Fox and Friends, and we, in a 5-minute interview, it raised like $250,000 in like 15 minutes. And it was like, that was my moment to say, yo, I'm out. I'm done with my old thing. I need to like move forward with my life and do something that's more cool. Like we were making money before with this old business, but now with battle bars, I'm like, I can go find something. So that's when I got into battle bars. Well, so check this out. So 2018, after battle bars in, right? I talked to my partner, and my partner was in Afghanistan, and he's like, hey, listen, like I never told you this, but the guy who killed Pat and the 4 other officers, he worked for me in the military. And I kicked him out of the military.
Wow.
Dude, so it was like, we both kind of like looked at each other. I had goosebumps talking about it, but like, we both kind of like looked at each other like, I don't know what I believe in. I don't know what that means, but like, maybe we're supposed to be here. Yeah. Maybe we're supposed to be doing this shit right now because like, that's way too much.
Like the universe connected you guys.
Like it was like, it's way too much. I mean, he kicked him out of the military.
That's unbelievable.
He was like sniffing girls' underwear or something like overseas. So like, I think that, so he kicked him out. And then after he got kicked out is when he went to Dallas and
wow,
that all happened. So this is like, I'll die with this thing, man. Like Terry sees me go nuts over this stuff. But I love it, man.
And you said before you're in year 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were some of like the biggest hurdles or challenges that you went through to get it from, you know, your idea, your concept to where we are today with these lemon bars, which are awesome?
Dude, everywhere. I mean, we had like 25 grams of protein in the bars first. And
sounds like a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But then you realize that you're like, you know, you get smart about it. And, you know, I'm pretty focused on nutrition. And I'm like, you don't need that much protein in your body because your body's just going to shit it out anyway. So it's like, you can only process like 16 to 20 grams of protein per setting. So it's like, let's lower it down. It actually saves us money because protein is a commodity and it goes through the roof. It's so
interesting.
Protein's the most expensive it's ever been right now. It's crazy. Oh. So we wanted to make sure we keep a clean ingredient label. And then like what I learned is that like all of these other companies out there have like 0 on the label. So you see 0 sugar. And like the trend is like, all right, 0. That means good. I'm not eating sugar, so I can sit my fucking fat ass on the couch and do nothing.
That's what I would think.
But right,
yeah.
So like, you don't do it. Like, so 0 is like, to me, if I see 0, I'm like, stay the fuck away from me, because 0 is it's an artificial sweetener. It's a chemical that you're throwing in, so it messes with your digestive system. So we don't have any artificial sweeteners. So we use real sugar, single-digit sugar. And like we just we use it as a.
I've never heard that term before. What's single-digit sugar?
Well, just like not
less than 10.
Not 10.
I thought it was like.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I thought it was a particular type of sugar. You're talking like 7 grams of sugar or something.
Yeah.
That's interesting you say that, because I was like, oh wow, this has sugar in it. Usually don't see that.
Yeah,
but I'm okay with it.
Your philosophy is actually kind of
because you're like, yo, you can have sugar. Like it's okay as long as you like. How much is in like a Coke? It's like.
Oh, it's
50, 60 grams of sugar.
Like that sounds like poison.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I have this, wait, maybe I shouldn't tell this story because I don't know.
You said that a few times, and every time you say that, you tell a good story.
Tell it anyway.
So, yeah. And then it's a good story.
I'll just say there was an energy drink company because I don't know. So there's an energy drink company, and we used to ship for them in our old business. And this is what got me really started into this was like, so they call us one day and they ask us to ship all this product from California, like the distribution centers all over the country. And we're like, okay, but the drivers need hazardous placards. It needs to be hazmat. And I'm like, hazmat for an energy drink company? That doesn't make a lot of sense. And I read into it. It's like the product is corrosive. It's the concentrate that makes the drinks. So you're like, you need to have a hazardous placard.
But then go drink it.
But then I literally, I shit you not, while I'm on the call, I had like 3 empty bottles of the same company's drinks next to like a huge fridge thing. And I'm like,
Jesus,
maybe I shouldn't drink this shit. Like, I'm not saying I'm innocent. Like, you know, I love bourbon. I love tequila. Like, I'm not, but like,
you gotta live your life a little bit. Yeah.
You live it in moderation. Like, but I don't think that the 2 to 3 energy drinks of the wrong kind is probably the right play.
Yeah. Jeez.
But I know. But anyway, so like the idea was like, yo man, let's make some cool stuff. While I'm doing this, let's have a shitload of fun. Let's go watch some cool ass fights. Let's learn jujitsu. Let's hang out with guys like him who have no experience in the military whatsoever, right? Right? Like, I mean, like, how cool
Not
is
the real
that?
military, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Sure. Not the real Navy. Like,
Right.
no, but like you get to do some cool stuff, man, and learn from like the best at what they do. Like, how many times can you guys say that you're going to learn to shoot from this guy? That's crazy, dude. Like, or like you go to Camp Vertex and you learn from to learn jujitsu from literally the best people on the planet.
That sounds crazy.
You can't really do that, right? And then, so that's why like Battle Bars exists, is that so we can like raise up other brands and talk about them, talk about other organizations that are veteran owned and operated, and be like, maybe one day there's a dude who's getting out and he's struggling with that transition, because the transition from the military sucks.
It does suck.
It's a miserable experience. And maybe one day they'll look and they'll say, you know what? That dude made it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make it too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll give it a shot. Maybe we'll give this entrepreneur thing a shot, you know? So.
And it's the battlebars.com.
Yeah, just battlebars.com.
Battlebars.com.
Yeah. Yeah. But we have, we're very subscription focused right now, because like I mean, knock on wood, it's a good thing, but like it sells like crazy. So, it's very hard to keep in stock while keeping it financially smart, right? So we keep everyone's subscription focused. So like if you order a subscription, it's like locked in. You'll guarantee your order. But like online, it's like once we release a flavor, it just goes. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. They're good too. And Chief doesn't love the BBC you're thinking of. This is Bader's banana cream.
He tried to put that on me. I
was just looking out for you.
So,
You've been watching this whole podcast. Like, what the?
I don't think anyone's going to see it from that angle.
Dude, it's the best. Like we were holding, like who cares? We were holding we're like, we got to come up with a name for Ryan. Like Bader is like one of the coolest, most genuine dudes you'll ever meet in your life. If you get a chance, I should send you the video of him and Terry going at it. Like Terry, so Bader's actually a good shot, like a ridiculous.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a good shot, right?
Just not good enough.
He didn't beat him. He didn't beat Terry. And then they had to drink a bunch of tequila and wrestle around a little bit.
Tough punishment.
Yeah, he tried to choke him out, and he's like, "Where's your neck?"
Yeah, him and Steve were intoxicated on the floor, and Bader's like, "No, go deeper, now choke, squeeze harder," and he can't squeeze him. Like he's got a neck like a linebacker.
Yeah.
Then as they're doing that, I'm like, "Hold on," like feeding him tequila as they're.
But dude, open his gullet now.
Yeah.
We're
so
Bader's
down. Bader's like the biggest animal I ever met in my life. The most humble, kind human being you'll ever meet, dude. So cool. Life of the party. You guys would love this guy. But like, so we're like, what is like a fitting name for this guy who's just crazy, good dude. So we're like, let's call it Bader's Banana Cream or the BBC.
The BBC.
He's like, I like what you're doing with that.
Yeah.
So he chose the flavor. That's our limited flavor is the banana one.
Yeah, you sent me some.
Yeah. But we launched we like Vitamin Shop loved it so much that in June it'll be nationwide in Vitamin Shop.
Oh, wow.
Exclusively.
Congratulations.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm excited.
Well, all right, guys. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a great day. It was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, too, man. Appreciate you guys.
So go check it out. Battle Bars. Go check out.
We'll see you at Camp Vertex.
Yeah. We'll have a little Chicago crew come down and
it'd be
have fun.
And we got to run it back because I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface with you guys.
No, I know. I could talk to you guys for another 2 hours.
Yeah,
exactly. And I feel like we were very like PG.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asking earlier. I'm like, how much leeway do I have?
You can say whatever.
I spent a lot of time in the Navy, so I got a lot of fucking bad words.
Yeah. Next time we'll have a little whiskey. We'll get it out of you guys.
That's like when Terry was like, and a lot of shit.
I was like, well, let me think about how I want to say this.
Awesome. Well, you guys are great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. That's it. We'll see you next time.